fine. So if you want to zip up, is that camera all right? That'll do. Interesting. Great. Go ahead. It seems to be. He's just gone up to get his phone. So yes, welcome if you're just joining in, or just tuning in to our live stream for Sangha Night, Sangha being spiritual community. So we're just kind of setting things up here. We've got Richard on the tech front tonight for the first time. He's debuting on the tech side of things. We usually have Gareth doing it, but Gareth's got a week off at the moment. Although he is with us, and you're going to hear his voice as well. He's going to do a reading for us in a bit. Yeah. So we've got 5 people. So if you have already tuned in and you want to, you can just post something in the live chat. Maybe just let us know who it is. Always nice to see the different names of people dotted around Nottingham, and some of them a bit further afield, joining us for the meditation this evening. So we're going to start at just after 7:30, so we'll just wait whilst other people tune in. So how's the tech going, Rich?
It's not quite the live thing, yeah.
Is it not?
Well, on my phone is pretty terrible.
Is it showing live on there? It says live and there's a timer going. And there are 6 people.
It's live, but
Probably a bit live.
you have to check mine. Yeah, I mean, my phone is generally awful, so it may not be showing.
So we're just going to check. Okay. Looks fine, but just want to make sure there's more people joining. 8 with us now. So that's great. From Kirsten. Hey, Kirsten. Yes, nice to have you join us. Might not say everybody's name. It's always nice to have people with us, and particularly people who are new to Sangha Night Wednesday evenings, as well as some of the regulars and friends. Ian, very nice to have you join us as well, Ian.
It's telling me that we are live.
Yeah, it all looks good, doesn't it? So people are saying there's Martin and hey David, very good to see you here with us, and Nicola. Martin Crush, great. Stephen, lots of people. Simon, very good to have you with us. So Ari Marchin and Gareth are going to join us, just me and Richard in the shrine at the moment. Darren, for those of you who know him, is off celebrating his daughter's birthday. Is it 10 today? Ella is 10 today, so he's not with us tonight, otherwise he would be in the shrine. Very much, and he's just walked in to join us. And come and say hello if you like, very much. There he is.
Hello.
Great. There's our key stage 1 teacher. Hello, Jess. And Gita. Okay. So, in a minute or so, we'll just start by saluting the shrine, and then I'll say a little bit more by way of what we're doing this evening, both in the YouTube live stream and the Zoom groups as well. And I've got 13 folk joined in. I'm going to miss this bit when it's all over and we can't see people signing their names and little smiley faces and things appearing. So yes, the latest is that there's a possibility we might be able to open in some form in July. That seems to be the current government advice, although that could still change. Obviously, if we do open, it's going to be with restrictions on numbers and social distancing and everything as well, but that is a possibility. So it may be possible for some of us to meet face to face in the not too distant future. Anyway, let's begin. So, as per usual, we'll start by saluting the shrine in call and response. So if you're at home and you're in front of a shrine or you sitting to meditate, maybe you can join us in saluting the shrine. You can join the response part of the shrine salutation. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Dharmaya.
Namo Dharmaya.
Namo Sanghaya.
Namo Sanghaya.
Namo Namah.
Namo Namah.
Om.
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 Okay, so again, welcome to, if you just joined us for the live stream of our meditation as part of Sangha Night. Particularly welcome if you haven't been for a while or when you're more new to Sangha Night. So the form for the evening, and also the theme, we've got a theme that we started last week. Pamasaki gave a very good introduction to Pamasangha in the second half of the evening on Zoom groups last week, launching our theme of exploring various Buddha and Bodhisattva figures, meeting the Buddhas, we're calling it. So over the next few weeks, different order members are going to be introducing one or other of the Buddha and Bodhisattva figures from the Buddhist tradition. So tonight we've got Jyotida, who's going to talk about Kshitigarbha, slightly less well-known Bodhisattva figure. A very important one is on the refuge tree of the tree in the refuge tree. Very important figure in East Asian Buddhism as well. So we're going to hear more from Jyotida about that when we go over to the Zoom groups at 8:30. But we're going to start this evening shortly with a brief reading about Kshitigarbha, which Jyotida has chosen for us. Gareth is going to read that in a minute or two by way of just introducing this figure of Kshitigarbha. Kshitigarbha is known for being the Bodhisattva who took a vow to go down into the hellish realms to liberate beings from the hellish realms. So, in a way, perhaps quite a relevant figure for our times. So we're going to have the reading shortly, and then Richard is going to lead us in the chanting of the Kshitigarbha mantra. So again, you may not have heard that before, but you can join in. Richard will lead it a couple of times, and then the rest of us here will join in. Again, do join in at home if you want to, as a way of tuning in with this figure, Kshitigarbha, the Bodhisattva, who goes down to the hell realms or the hellish realms to liberate beings. So yes, do join in with that. I'm going to suggest we do something different in meditation today. Usually we do either the mindfulness of breathing on the Metta Bhavana. I'm just going to lead us in a period of just sitting. So just sitting is another part of our system of practice in Triratna. And just sitting, when Sangha actually used to lead it or teach it or introduce it on retreats back in the 70s, he apparently wouldn't say anything much about it except that it is just sitting. So you're just left sitting you're not choosing a focus like you are in the mindfulness of breathing with the breath or the Metta Bhavana when you're focusing on cultivating loving kindness for yourself and for others. You're just sitting with a broad awareness of yourself. It's what's sometimes called an open focus meditation rather than a close focus meditation. It's quite an important practice to do in sync with the Metta Bhavana and mindfulness of breathing, where you're making a more conscious effort, conscious deliberate effort to cultivate certain qualities. It's also good to have this period where you just sit and you just experience yourself in a broad way without rejecting or accepting anything in your experience. You're just having this broad awareness, maybe based in a bodily awareness. So we'll just do that this time around. Sometimes we do a little bit of just sitting at the end of mindfulness of breathing or the Metta Bhavana. I'm actually going to do a whole period, maybe 35, 40 minutes of just sitting, this open, broad awareness of ourself and our experience. And just see what happens during that period. So, we'll just sit for a minute or two, and then I'll ring a bell, and then Gareth will read this short excerpt from, I think it's from the Kshitigarbha Sutra, and then we'll have the mantra, which will lead, and join in with that, and then we'll just have an open period of just sitting meditation with a bell at the end. So we'll sit for a minute or two, and then I'll ring the bell for the beginning of the reading.
Just at that moment, the various transformations of the Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva from different universes were seen consolidated into one form, and with tears in his eyes, he said to the Buddha, "You've been kind enough to bestow upon me supernatural power and transcendental wisdom for kalpas and kalpas. May my innumerable transformations of different forms be successful in pervading various universes to lead mankind to real salvation. Though human beings have not the slightest interest in reaping good deeds, I shall strive to convert them gradually and bring great benefit and happiness to all. Pray do not be disheartened over the evils of these beings, as I shall bear the full responsibility to convert them to the supreme state of Buddhahood."
Kshitikava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitikava Bodhisattvaya.
Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. Om Kshitigava Bodhisattvaya. So now we're going to have a 35-minute period of just sitting meditation. So without any bells, without any stages, just sitting, an open awareness of your experience and what's coming and going in your mind, without involving yourself with it, without rejecting it. That's just taking a minute or two to establish broad bodily awareness from which to enter into the meditation more fully. A period of just sitting. So for those of you who want to join in, we're just going to conclude with the transference of merit. It's obviously just communicating the spirit of everything we do here is not just for our own individual benefit, but it's for the sake and the welfare of all beings. So it's just a way of bringing that attitude to mind. So join in if you wish to in call and response. May the merit gained
May the merit gained
in my acting thus
in my acting thus
go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings.
go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings.
My personality throughout my existences,
My personality throughout my existences,
my possessions,
my possessions,
and my merit in all three ways.
and my merit in all three ways.
I give up without regard to myself,
I give up without regard to myself,
for the benefit of all beings.
for the benefit of all beings.
Just as the earth and other elements
Just as the earth and other elements
are serviceable in many ways
are serviceable in many ways
to the infinite number of beings
to the infinite number of beings
inhabiting limitless space,
inhabiting limitless space,
so may I become
so may I become
that which maintains all beings,
that which maintains all beings,
situated throughout space,
situated throughout space,
so long as all have not attained
so long as all have not attained
to peace.
to peace.
Okay, so for those of you who wish to join us, we'll be starting the Zoom groups in about 10 minutes or so, just under. Do come and join us if you haven't joined before. A great way to keep connections with the Sangha, and obviously tonight we'll have the chance to hear Jyoti talk about Kshitigarbha. If you haven't joined them before, please send an email to info@nottinghambuddhistcentre.org asking to join, and I'll include you in the email that I send out. If you've already done that before, you don't need to do it again. Finally, I just want to say something by way of thanks and gratitude. We made a financial appeal earlier in the month. See, like many places, we've lost income as a result of closing the doors to the centre. But we've had a very, very generous response. It's been really very moving to hear people's expressions of appreciation for what we do and receive the financial generosity that we've been on the receiving end of here at the Buddhist Centre. So I know many of you give standing orders or have given one-off donations. So I'd really like to thank you for that. And if you feel so moved to give a little bit more, or you're in a position to give a few pounds more, or feel moved to give a bit more, that would be gratefully received. We do still need money to keep the place going and to make the Dharma available to others. So you can do that. There's a donate button on the homepage of the website, and you can just click on that. Only takes a minute or two. Make a donation this evening if you're able to. So thank you very much, and see some of you on Zoom very shortly.